Today on the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, we are discussing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. The ending of the trilogy is here, and we are talking about it, and we are crying about it, and we are consoling ourselves with each other. All that and more that we have no control over.
Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll.
And I'm Jeff Randall.
And I'm Ashley Coffin.
And she's Ashley crying.
We're here for you. We're here for you, my friend.
It's happened. It's finally happened.
Ashley wept with us.
I've been crying for 4 hours.
Yeah.
That sounds like me after Endgame.
Right?
During Endgame.
Yeah, Endgame still gets me every time. Every time.
Nothing has ever gotten me like this did.
Yeah, I imagine that's true. Me and you've talked a lot about a lot of movies, and animals getting harmed is always something that really bothers you. And so we were talking about it when we saw the trailer that this was going to be a bad situation for you. I thought, I guess spoiler free.
Spoiler free.
What did you guys think?
Spoiler free at the beginning.
Yeah. Not only did I love this, but it also felt like the end. This was the last of our Infinity Saga characters. It was the last movie that really felt like something. Like I have enjoyed all the movies we've seen since this. Multiverse of Madness is my favorite, but this is right there behind it, past everything we've seen, because it just felt like home.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
no, I get that. It felt so much like the first Guardians movie all over again. But while also being a continuation of the arc that we've seen, and also bringing something kind of fresh and a new idea. And it was a lot of fun, and we got to see some great moments that were kind of unexpected, I guess, out of some characters who were like, because everybody's like, oh, Drax is just comic relief at this point, but like, no, he had a whole
Not
thing.
In this one.
He had a whole thing.
Yeah. There's some really great moments in this. I'm trying to say things without giving anything away. It's tough. It's always tough.
Best I got is Drax had a whole thing.
I cried. And
they did a good job of serving all of the characters, I think. Like every character really had something to do, and it gave them connectivity and left them all in cool, interesting ways. And so I'm happy with it as a resolution for Guardians, and and lots of potential things for the future of these characters if they made it.
It really felt like an end. And so many things, I don't know, they just don't.
Yeah.
This felt more like an end than Thor: Love and Thunder. There was just...
Oh, for sure.
Something... James Gunn just knows what to do. And I think it's such a loss. Like, it's not a loss. I'm excited to see what he does with DC, but like to lose him for Marvel, and I don't know.
Yeah,
it really did feel like an ending. And it should be. It's been so long.
Yeah.
We've been so blessed.
Hashtag blessed.
I liked this movie a lot. But one thing that I realized watching it was how much of James Gunn's humor relies on dumb characters saying dumb things. And so much of his humor is dumb characters saying dumb things, or at least dumb, they're like have different types of intelligence. And then it made me think about all of his other things, like all of his other properties, like Peacemaker, and it's kind of that same thing. He relies on that heavily. And the other thing is people saying one or two too many things than they would normally in a show. Normally it would be a little quippy and they'd be done. In James Gunn things, they always it's like they let the take roll a minute and they let the actors improvise things like, no, I didn't, or whatever. And sometimes it's a little like, it's just more responses than you would normally get in a thing. And I think it's a lot of fun. I love it. But I was thinking about that and DC, and I was like, him taking over the whole thing. I was like, I love this for Guardians, and I love it for Peacemaker. I loved it for Suicide Squad. But I'm worried if that sort of James Gunn sauce gets on everything in the whole studio at DC, it could get old.
Bog it down.
Yeah, it could get a little old if like you always rely on a character saying a dumb thing to like for the humor to land there. But I don't know.
This is cool because you know what? When I watch this and I think about Taika, like Taika has his own way of doing things, and it hits or it doesn't. Where I feel like most of James Gunn's stuff really hits.
Yeah.
They're very different, and I do feel like I'm more partial to James Gunn's way of doing it.
Yeah.
Because this movie it felt so solid.
Yeah. I've said it a million times, but the difference between Taika and James Gunn to me is that James Gunn knows how to shift gears. And I feel like Taika doesn't. And this movie does a great job of having like really touching moments and really funny moments and some really great surprises and some epic things.
Really gross moments.
Some so gross moments.
Can we move out of
Can we get
to spoilers?
Sure. For sure.
Jeff?
Sure.
Let's get into spoilers. Spoilers. Go away if you don't want to be spoiled.
3, 2, 1,
So yeah, ready, Jeff? 3, 2, 1.
Nobody died.
Nobody
died.
We were 100% right that them being in all those little colored outfits was them trying to save Rocket. Like, there's a couple things that we were dead on about.
Right.
Yeah. But there was a couple we weren't.
Yeah. Well, and that not being one of the things I thought the reason I had that theory when we were talking about it was I thought that was them shrunk down on Rocket because it looked like a organic thing they were climbing on. That's where that theory came from. It was an organic
thing they were climbing on.
It was, but it was a huge thing.
It was so gross.
It was so gross.
So gross.
I was so just like grossed out, skin crawling the entire time they were on the flesh station.
I'm just so happy Nathan Fillion got to be in the movies instead of just being a CGI monster. I was so happy to see him.
Yeah, he was awesome.
They put him in that gross suit.
Yeah.
That suit that he had it just looks so gross. That was
If you guys have never seen the Horror Movie Society, that's exactly what that looked like. It's called shunting. It's gross.
No, I have not. I have not seen that. But yeah, no, it's great. So many weird things. But yeah, I was actually taken aback a little bit by how gross they got. Not only just like sort of the weird grossness of some of those moments, but also, I mean, the biggest one being the end for the High Evolutionary and him sitting there faceless and still talking and stuff.
I'm so glad we got when Rocket was doing that to him. I was like, I want to see it. He was like, I was like, got him.
Beating the shit out of him. Like, show me.
That scene, like, I don't even know where to start. Like, that scene, I had to leave after that scene.
Oh, God, when Layla bit it.
I walked out of there, and some guy who was, like, a worker there was watching, but not in a view that you could see while going out of the movie theaters. And I almost slammed right into him. And I just have tears coming down my face. I was like, excuse me. I need to go to the bathroom and cry and come back with toilet paper that disintegrated into nothing because I cried so much. That was the hardest scene in the whole movie.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
So many of their scenes, the group, what was it? Group 89, not group, but the batch 89.
Yeah.
When those four were sitting there, like when they were laying on the ground and the view from above had the bars separating them, but their heads, like they were in a cross pattern. They're like the bars were separating them, but they were still together. And they were saying, it's so great. It's so great to have friends. I was like, my heart.
I couldn't even look at the bunny. Like I couldn't, the whole
floor
thing was, the mouth just being gone. Like it was, I don't know. Everybody make sure you use products that are cruelty free. Like, we can't keep doing this to these animals.
Yeah. You want to know what annoys me though? The one thing that got me, that bothered me about the, like, probably, maybe there'll be other things I think of, but like this. So the whole movie, like, is the big thing that happens at the end for Rocket is he decides, no, we're not just going to save the, like, higher life forms. We're going to save them all. And he does all that, and they rush out with all those animals and, like, real nose art style. I loved it. I loved it so much. But then they set him up for a big battle at the end, and like the group ran away and they got ready to fight off something, and it was like it looked like a herd of animals. It wasn't. They didn't look like they were like a sentient population coming after them. Right? Am I wrong on that?
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. It looked like just a herd of animals that was stampeding.
Yeah.
And the people in the town couldn't defend themselves.
Yeah. It feels really stupid to have that be the thing when
so
the
like,
whole
do you care
movie
about animals or not,
yeah,
Rocket?
The whole movie is like Rocket, and then Rocket's like, well, we got to protect these people. It just felt weird. It felt like you could have made any other decision. Make it a villain. Make it some like, you know, obscure villain from Marvel Comics or something. But that really bothered me as like the last moment, because I was like, what the hell? We just had this whole revelation about protecting the animals, and you're just going to kill a bunch of animals as your next job? Like, I don't know. Build a fence, man.
The intel that Rocket gave him the ability to control the animals and to be able to conjoin them into the killing machines, and like mindless killing machines, which is kind of what they made them, which is what took over the Skull. Like, it was obviously like animal hybrids that were taking over at the end, like their little army.
At the end, I just thought it looked like animals that were, they didn't look like hybrids to me.
It looked like upgraded Orloni, like the critters that Groot hates because they looked at him weird.
Oh, were they upgraded? See, it was a quick shot. I didn't see that they were upgraded. I thought it was just like animals running.
No, they all had like a mechanical part.
Okay.
They looked like they had been upgraded. But, I mean, it's still weird for it to be animals of any sort. Because, like, Rocket just went through that. Like, it could have been a Kang variant.
Yeah.
Or
absolutely.
It could have been
Galactus.
Skrull Army, Galactus.
Yeah, it could have been anything.
Hell, it could have been a wave of
that would have taken away from the story. This is an incursion story.
Well, I feel like this took more away from the story. You know what I mean?
At the very end, though, that pretty easily sets up, like they did in Ragnarok, when, you know, right at the end of Ragnarok, the Sanctuary 2 shows up, and it's like, oh shit, Thanos is coming. Like, this is how Thanos gets introduced to Thor. So, like, this could have been how an incursion or a Kang or whatever gets introduced to the Guardians, but no, just bad gazelle.
Yeah, it looked like just bad gazelles coming. Okay, another thing that annoyed me. I'm sorry to say these things annoyed me. I always like to stay positive at the top, but these things popped into my head. That they didn't kill the High Evolutionary. They killed so many people that were servants of the High Evolutionary, or like slaves of the High Evolutionary. You know what I mean? They killed everyone on the way to the High Evolutionary, but then they did that thing where like he's like, I'm not gonna kill him because I'm a guardian of the galaxy. It's like, what?
I can let him die as the ship explodes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, or does he? Or I was wondering why they didn't kill him, and I'm like, is it because Marvel wants to use him in the future? You think?
No, I believe he's dead. Yeah, when they ripped his face off, I think that was kind of it. They kept him around for us to show the Hannibal Lecter of it all.
I'm surprised somebody didn't make the joke in there where Quill's like repeatedly going, "It's a face off. It's a face off." And then, like,
take your face
Drax,
off.
Drax said his face came off. I was like, Drax is the perfect time to be like, look, you're right, Peter.
You were right, Quill. It is a face off.
It is a face off.
I wonder if that line was in there, or they had a joke like that, but it took away from the seriousness of the moment or something. I think that like, I just don't understand why they didn't kill him. It really, like, he is his living.
I mean, he died right after when
we're assuming.
We are assuming he's the High Evolutionary.
I think it was just to show, you know, for like, this was a Rocket movie, and I've always joked that of all the characters in the MCU character I am is Rocket, and it's not for nothing. Like, he is my favorite, and I was honestly a little sad, like, when I saw that he was going to be out for the beginning, because he's such a comic relief. Like, he's so funny. And I was like, oh no, he's down and out. And not only was he down and out, then we got that whole backstory. And I was like, oh, you're down and out. I'm going to make me sob for the next hour and 45 minutes until you wake back up. It was really.
Oh, God. Yeah. And then when he did, when he did, and Mantis was like, Rocket, we love you and are glad you are okay. And then he immediately was like, well, that's you being stupid, isn't it?
My favorite line is at the end when they're like, we're the Guardians of the Galaxy. We don't leave. He's like, no, we're the Guardians of the Galaxy. We definitely leave. Such Rocket.
Our thing is leaving.
They're arguing about whether they should go in or not. And then Rocket's just like, no, I'm going in. Like, I don't know what everybody else is doing, but this is what I'm doing. I have to stop running. I'm going in. And I loved how they all just fell in behind him. It was just like, of course they're going to go with him. Of course they're going to fight beside him. They're like, they can argue about what the smart thing to do is, but if Rocket's going in, they're going in. And that was my favorite, probably my favorite moment in the whole movie.
We
honestly.
had,
I loved it.
3 slow motion group shots?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At least 3.
Yeah, we talked so much about why was, and they said to the kind of serious music in the trailer. So we're talking about how, like, well, it looks like Peter Quill gets hurt at some point. No, he was just passed out drunk.
And I get it.
Yeah. It was very funny.
Yeah.
It's so hard to figure out where to start and where to talk about because there's just so many, like, branches, like Peter Quill going home.
Yep.
Yeah, it feels like a huge movie.
Chris Pratt broke my heart into a million pieces with his acting during this. When he started hysterically crying about Rocket.
Yeah.
Like the no. And that's when I looked over at Katie, who came to stay with it. And that's when she started crying. And that's when I gave her a square of toilet paper.
And then just looking dead ass at Gamora and said, no, I'm not giving up on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's so
and
good.
Broke my heart.
And the way that Gamora was, arguing like you can't, like, we can't do this. We have to give up. He's lost. And like, why can't you drop me off first? And she was like, I'm family. And the Nebula says, so is he.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Learn
about it.
The growth of Nebula. Nebula's one of my favorite characters now. And I've always liked her, but and I love Karen Gillan, but her arc and her growth has been so believable. And I love that, when I think about her arc and when the change happened, she was on the ship with Tony.
Yeah. Yep. Well, where'd she get that arm from? Did she have that arm in the Christmas special?
No.
Yes. Yeah.
I thought so.
She had, it looks like just a fiber mesh sleeve that they put on her arm.
Okay.
I mean, it looks like they're just getting lazier and lazier with her makeup. They're just like, she made some modifications to look more like a real person. We don't have to put the eye on her. Because, her not having the mechanical part around her left eye bugged me. It bugged me so bad.
Well, maybe
I was like, it's inconsistent.
Well, she gets upgrades all the time.
Yeah, she gets upgrades. And she said, the arm was an upgrade from Rocket. So, that's pretty cool.
It looked like a destroyer arm. It really did. Like that. It looked like the weapon that she uses first in the movie. It looked like legitimately like it was a destroyer based arm, but I don't think it was after we saw all the stuff that it did.
Yeah, I love that it was just like the Swiss Army knife of the Guardians team.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to steer a ship where all of the controls have been blasted away. Let me separate my arm into tentacles so I can steer the ship. I need to access
whatever works.
This computer terminal. Let me plug into it real quick and scan it with my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, she's like the wizard of the Guardians team.
Yeah, but not the Warlock. The Warlock
was
Adam. What did you guys think of Adam Warlock?
So I didn't understand why they casted the guy they did until I realized that the character was supposed to be a doofus. Mm-hmm. And then I was totally fine with it because that guy is hilarious.
He is.
Yep. And he was perfectly fine as doofus Adam Warlock.
He was such a great doofus.
He was so good.
And I love that they they explained it with Aisha saying, "You opened his birthing pod too early."
Mm-hmm. He's still a child.
He's still a child. Too soon. You opened it too soon. And when Gamora's like, stand down, or this weird thing gets it, and he's like, don't be rash now.
I love that.
Calm down.
Enough things have been hurt in this movie. I was like, put that knife down, girl.
Gosh.
Oh, it's so funny.
I really didn't like when he ripped the pig's head off. I really, really didn't like it.
I'm not going to lie. I thought that Peter Quill was absolutely dead, and I thought they were going for it, especially when his face got all blown out.
Yeah, for sure.
Space.
Well,
I was like, we're doing it. We're doing it. They're going to kill Peter Quill. And then for it to be Adam Warlock to bring him back, I was like, I love this so much.
Yep.
I definitely thought they were going for it for a second. And then when his face got all bloated and like,
it was like
ugly, like they made him ugly, I was like, oh no, they're going to save him. They're going to save him. Somebody's going to save him.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, because like Yondu died in the same way, right? Like he decompressed in space.
But his face
he didn't. Yeah, he didn't like blow out. They kept him pretty.
Yeah.
You know? He got the face of an angel. Like he got to stay normal looking while he decompressed.
When I saw him decompressing and like getting all expanded, I was like, he's gone. Like he's already gone. Like I thought for sure that he is dead. But you're right. You're right. I thought it was very. I thought it was like James Gunn almost making a joke out of it. Like, oh no, he's dead. Look at his body. It is bloated. Like it is clearly expanded from whatever, the vacuum of space.
Yep.
Crazy, man.
I mean, and it would have been so perfect for him too, especially like that's how Yondu died. And so he would go out doing the same thing for his people, like trying to save
but
his
he didn't
friends.
get the AirPod back.
He did.
The what?
The Zune?
The air. Yeah, well, if he had died out there, it would have been for nothing because he wouldn't have been able to give Rocket the iPod.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he wouldn't have been able to give him the Zune.
Yeah,
the Zune.
When it zoomed in on the Zune and he's like holding it while we assumed he was dead. Yeah, when they zoomed in.
I didn't have one. I'm rich.
When they zoomed in on it, I was like, man, that like really is like trivializing his sacrifice in a way. Like I'm like, man, he really did just go back for a music player and die for it, didn't he? Like I was like, this is terrible. This is a terrible way for Peter Quill to go out.
But he's done it. It's not though. It wouldn't have been.
Yeah, that's what they did on the kiln.
Exactly. No, it's in his character, but it's a terrible way to go out. Like. I kind of want, when I saw him drop the Zune, I kind of wanted him to like make the decision not to go back for it because like see his friends and then see the Zune and be like he's grown past the need to like hold on to his mother's and Yondu. Like it's like he now has a family.
Rocket loves it so much.
He does. Well, I assume they have a clone of it on the Ravager ship now. Like it's just a piece of player, I guess. Like
it's literally just useless hardware at this point.
I really appreciated the music in this one. All that early 90s stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
It was amazing.
Starting off with acoustic Creep.
Yeah.
Like,
Creep is one of my favorite songs. Creep is one of my favorite songs of all time. And I play it all the time at shows. I love it. It's such a good song. And now I'm going to have a hard time singing it without thinking about Rocket. And it's going to be like a hard song to sing for a whole different reason now.
I keep crying. I'm not even upset anymore.
Oh, Ash. Ashley does have a heart. Listen to her, everybody. She didn't want to show you all.
Supreme Leader's heart shows forth on May the 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
Comes forth.
And also with you. It was,
That's rough, man. It was a rough one.
I love that Peter and Gamora didn't actually get together. And I love that. I didn't know what they were doing with that whole Peter and Nebula thing, but I'm glad that was like ew, no, absolutely not from her side. But I do like that they didn't have them get back together. But I loved the procession of where their relationship has gotten to. Like, I bet we were fun.
Yeah.
Baby girl, you have no idea.
That scene was that was heartbreaking for me.
Hard.
With them like facing opposite directions. It was just directed beautifully and acted beautifully and really just wonderful. Ugh.
Yeah. And then getting to see her see the absolute joy on her face when she got back to the Ravager found family. and like they were
and
all
they were
embracing
so
her.
happy to see her.
It was it was so heartwarming.
What I really loved about Gamora is they did a lot of character work with her without really doing it. Like it wasn't exposition. What am I don't know what I'm saying. It wasn't like expositional. Like they didn't say it out loud, but you got the sense that like part of the reason she's so resistant to Peter Quill and the Guardians is because
she doesn't know them.
Well, no, it's not just that though. Like I felt strongly this anyway. Like she feels like she's being compared to the Gamora who did all those good things. Like he at one point told her like, no, you beat Thanos, or like you left Thanos, you ran with us, we saved the galaxy together, and she's like, I didn't do any of that stuff. And it's like this thing of like, if I'm with these people, I'm always being compared to this version of myself that I didn't get to be. And I didn't get to do these things. And
sad.
Yeah, but then at the end when she goes back to her other found family and you realize that she like has really found a home with the Ravagers, it's not like, it kind of seemed like this dark, like, oh, she's like a pirate or whatever, like she's sort of like a dark version of herself at first. But then at the end when like they hug her and everything when she gets back to the Ravagers, it's like, oh,
they love her just the way she is. She's
Gamora
not being compared to anything.
Is the supreme leader in every group she's in.
Yep.
But it is hard to see this Gamora. Like, I liked going through the emotions with Peter. Like, you don't understand who you were to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like what you did, like the life that we lived.
But like that's not fair of him to her. That's not fair to her for him to say like, this is who I expect you to be, because that's who the future you multiverse hopping was, like, that's who you were. That's not who she is. So kind of the same way that the High Evolutionary couldn't accept Rocket because he wasn't that perfect being or whatever, he was still the only one that was capable of invention. Like, you got to accept that one for who it is. You got to accept Gamora for who she is. Like, there was like a gentle parallel there.
Oh yeah. No, it's a parallel throughout the whole movie and maybe even the whole franchise about like accepting people for who they are and not like for who you want them to be.
Yeah, Thanos.
Yeah.
Katie brought up a really good point, and I was waiting. We were kind of waiting for it in the movie for Rocket to be like, you know, I am just a smart raccoon. Because the guy was like, why do you know this or that? And we never got an answer to why Rocket knew the equations or this and that was smarter than the other things. We never got an answer for that. And when Katie said it, it's like, I kind of wanted that moment where Rocket was like, it's just me. It's not you. It's not any of this stuff you did. I'm just a smart raccoon.
Yeah.
But we never got like why Rocket was smarter than your average raccoon.
Raccoons are like incredibly intelligent in the
they
wild.
Have little
like,
hands.
They will get into anything. They will absolutely get into anything. So like the fact that it was a raccoon that figured out the thing, because, you know, you give this raccoon a bunch of extra intelligence and like teach him advanced like physics and genetic and like all of these sciences, like you teach him all these things, like, yeah, he's going to get better. He's going to absolutely get better.
Yeah. Well, and it's, although they didn't have that, and I would have liked that moment, I think. Although they didn't have that, they did have him embracing his raccoon origins.
I'm Rocket Raccoon.
Oh, that's right.
And my theater went fucking batshit. Oh, we got our first F word. Congratulations, Chris Pratt. I think I would be very honored to be the first one to get to drop an F-bomb in the MCU.
Open the fucking door.
Open the fucking door.
That was the news I didn't tell you last week. I said there's a piece of news, but it's kind of spoilery.
I knew.
Oh, you already knew? Oh. I thought it would be a nice surprise.
He talked about it on Kimmel.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Okay. It was very
surprising.
surprising.
Of all the people, Chris Pratt, he can be so problematic, but every time he's on screen, I'm so in love with him.
Same.
People don't like Star-Lord. I was so in love with him this entire movie. I loved the brown hair. I loved everything he was doing. This is set better than the second movie, I think. I think that all of the characters were grounded, especially Star-Lord, because in the second one, you have to deal with all your dad stuff and you're being a little extra, whatever, Chris Pratt. But this one was a lot of like acting. And they went there like, this was very heavy. I'm not a mother, but I don't know, showing this to kids and all the animal stuff. I think it's important that kids know, like, but they're not going to be like, oh, this is an analogy for hairspray in their face or, whatever else that we test on animals for. This is a heavy movie for your kids.
It's really heavy.
Yeah.
I was watching, I was like, there's a few. I mean, when the pig gets its head ripped off and when the High Evolutionary shown without a face.
Groot gets his head ripped off.
Yeah, he does.
Spider Groot.
Spider Groot. What about Kaiju Groot, guys?
Kaiju Groot. Oh my God. When she says full Kaiju and
full
he's
Kaiju.
Like, and then Peter's like, no, not full Kaiju.
Yes, full Kaiju. Oh, Groot with all the guns.
Oh, yeah. Groot with all the guns was awesome.
Groot with all the guns.
And, of course, the big Groot at the end, which, like, I love how they keep evolving him a little bit. Because now what we realize is the Groot we saw in Guardians 1 was an older Groot, I guess. And, like, he was a little thinner and older and, like, whatever. He just had a different body shape. But this Groot at his, like, I don't know, I guess this is, like, prime
Beefy
age Groot. He's, like, this huge thing. I love it.
He's okay. Yeah.
I mean, in comics, Groot went through several different variations as well, just depending on the artist and depending on the arc. So, like, I think when we first saw, or when Groot first appeared in comics, he was giant and, like the thing from Planet X or whatever they called him. Like, he was huge, like we saw in here. But then most of the time he's been a lot thinner, or, baby Groot, depending.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, Ashley, that this movie feels better than the second one. The second one felt so heavily Peter Quill focused.
Yeah, that's true.
And it felt like this one, like, while yes, it was a big story about Rocket, like, let's all come together to save Rocket, everyone still had their own growth moments and their own time to shine.
Yeah.
Like, Mantis actually got to do things, and, like,
yeah, she did.
If she had been there for the Aboleth in the beginning of the first one,
right,
it would have been nothing.
Well, then the Aboleth, I love her leaving and taking her 3 Aboleths with her. It's so good. Oh, I need that.
So, what
movie.
do you guys think about how everybody just abruptly left? They're like, "We're done this, and now we're leaving within 5 minutes."
It was a little weird.
Nah, we're done.
Was it? It was really just 2 of them, right?
Quill,
Quill and Mantis really the only ones that left. Well, Gamora wasn't with them.
Gamora was going to go back to the Ravagers anyway.
She just went home. So it was really just 2 of them. And it's coincidental that they both decided at, like, the same time. But I think, like, it was tied in enough that it didn't seem out of place. But I'm interested to see why they left Peter Quill on Earth and they ended the movie with Star-Lord will return.
The legendary Star-Lord.
Star-Lord.
So, like, what does that mean? Is that Peter Quill?
Yeah, right? I think
Is it a title? Is it a title that gets passed on?
Is he going to get his own movie? Like, what are we...
I took that... When I first saw that, I thought he's getting a solo movie. But,
that's what I thought.
But then it could be... I mean, sometimes they say Spider-Man will return and he ends up being like Civil War or what... Well, that's the first one, but whatever, They have him come back in something else. But I could totally see them announcing a legendary Star-Lord movie. Like, the legendary
Well, we know
Star-Lord.
that Zoe Saldana and Drax, that's his real name,
Dave Bautista,
have retired from Marvel until they threw them millions of dollars. For now, have retired. So those 2 are gone. And we saw what the new Guardians team looks like, which was an adorable cutscene. I really enjoyed it. I'm okay with that new Guardians. It's a TV show, not a movie.
I want that old Guardians team though, like the one with Sakaar and like the team that Gamora was on. I want to see that team.
No more Gamora.
It was neat that we got a lot more of them this movie. I didn't expect them at all. I really wasn't expecting. I thought that was gonna be like a one-off thing they did in the second one. When he showed up, I cheered. I loved it. The Sakaar showed up.
When Sakaar showed up and like Stallone just got to walk around saying weird terms that don't actually make any sense because it was like it's all space things.
I thought he was great in this.
He was just tripping over all of them. I was like, no, it's perfect. It's exactly this is perfect.
Yeah, that was great.
It's so great. And then when that like something happened to where everybody laughed, and the one that does the hand signs to make like sparkly images, she did an emoji.
Yeah,
it was just like the crying, laughing emoji.
Yeah, that was great.
Great.
That was awesome.
Oh, did you guys notice? When they were being boarded by the Ravagers, the portals that opened?
Yeah,
sling ring portals.
I go look, Doctor Strange, guys. It was the guy with no mouth. Was a master of the mystic arts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there were a bunch of those sling ring portals.
Yeah, but they weren't exactly. Maybe they were sling ring portals, but like if they had been sling ring portals, it seems like he could have opened them from anywhere. You know what I mean? Brought them from other ships, but they all pulled up to the ship, and it's like he used them as docking rings. Like it was like he was making the wall in like a hole in the wall instead of it being like an actual sling ring portal.
Yeah,
but that was so interesting.
Like, my thought is maybe the technology that the technology that they're using is similar to what Doctor Strange and the Masters of the Mystic Arts do, but like they just control it as far as like distance.
Differently.
They can do it. Yeah, they can do it differently. If it's on the ship, it's like, oh, it's the same kind of thing, but you know, we only really get like 5 feet.
Yeah, but they can do a bunch of them at a time.
If he had a ring on or not.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, gotta go watch it again. See if I can spot a sling ring.
So our IMAX didn't work, and it was off. Like our movie was supposed to start at 3, and then it was like 3:10, and I yelled out loud. I was like, "Anyone who is here doing the Ant-Man thing, I let that go, but we'll burn this place down if you're ready to. This is gonna go again." So they started it. They were like, "Oh, we didn't know it wasn't working," and they started it at like 3:15. No previews or anything, just right into the movie.
Oh, nice. So. That's nice.
Was there any cool previews?
Yeah, the Marvels.
I guess the guy who was handing out, like scanning tickets, was not doing a good job of handing out 3D glasses. To be honest, I'd forgotten I bought a ticket for a 3D movie.
Oh, you did 3D?
Because I just wanted to go to the earliest one possible. So I went to the 3 o'clock. Didn't even look at what it was. So I walked in and like just went into the theater. And then when they said, "Now put on your 3D glasses," me and like 17 other people got up to go get our 3D glasses because like no one was paying attention, I guess, and like the guy at the desk wasn't handing them to people when he saw they were going to a 3D movie. So like it was just funny that so many people missed their 3D glasses. I've never seen that before.
That's unfortunate.
It's always something.
Mm-hmm.
It's always something with those people. That hallway scene, though,
my favorite part.
Yeah,
that hallway scene was so great.
Yep, it was a oneer, right?
It looks like one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure it's got.
I mean, it's entirely just green screen, but yeah, it was a oneer.
Yeah.
It took a long time to render.
Yeah, it was badass. All of the camera movements mixed with the whatever they're doing, it was really, really beautiful.
They were beautiful shots.
I freaking loved it that like everybody got to have their own badass moment in it. Like, we got to see Drax being a badass rather than just comic relief.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we understand why he's called the Destroyer, because he's brutally freaking strong, ripping shit out of those things.
He's the dad.
Yeah, he is.
He is. Well, that's another great thing, is that we saw, like, the 3 facets, 3 different sides of Drax in this one, where, like, previously it had just been, he's comic relief and that's it. Or he's comic relief and, like, sometimes he's strong, but mostly he's just there to be the Worf character that, like, he's really strong, I wouldn't mess with him, and then he just gets blasted.
Well, speaking of blasted, I thought he was dead when they blasted him in the front and the back, and I was like,
and
oh my God, here we go, here we go.
I was about to be
I thought Adam Warlock killed
Fillion.
Everybody when he came in within the first 15. Yes! I was like, please don't make me hate Nathan Fillion, but if you killed Drax, I'm never going to be able to forgive you.
Yeah.
And you did it with your own face.
Yeah, with your face.
He did it with his face out.
Put on some CGI, buddy, come on.
Yeah, God, if you're going to do that, put CG on.
Like the last movie.
Be the blue guy if you're gonna kill everybody. I don't want to hate your face.
I love my husband, but I would marry Nathan Fillion tomorrow. No.
Yeah, man, me too. Me too.
But yeah, I love that we got to see badass Drax, comedic Drax, and then dad Drax.
Yeah.
Dad Drax.
And him being smart.
And him being competent at something.
Let me tell you, that scene with Mantis when she's like, "You are dumb."
Oh, and it's like, I don't think I like this defense.
Yeah.
When he was like really upset that she's like, "No, you're dumb. Forget."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
thank God we got in thanks to my amazing strength.
Yeah, that part, because earlier in the movie she says you don't use that on your friends.
I don't use it on your friends.
I don't use it on my friends.
But you have to lie to your friends sometimes. It's the nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Everybody's been in the position. That's why these movies are so real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're so visceral.
I agree.
I keep thinking about that little bunny whose fucking mouth was covered.
Yeah, Floor. Poor Floor.
Floor.
When all of his friends were killed, because in the comics, I'm pretty sure that Lila's his little girlfriend, which was Laura Cardellini.
Laura Barton.
Yeah, Laura Barton. Is her name Laura in real life?
Linda Cardellini.
Linda Cardellini. Great job, by the way.
Mama Barton.
That scene. Is that the heaviest thing that we've really had to endure? Or is that just me? Like Rocket having his friend die in his hands and then turning around and all of the rest of his little bunny and Laura's friends.
Oh, yeah. When it looked like they had just missed him, but they weren't shooting him. They were shooting his friends. Oh,
killed everybody.
It's terrible.
It just hurt.
It really might
so
be
much.
the roughest thing we've ever seen in the MCU.
I was like, am I just being naive or is that
I don't think so. And then we see an entire
really
planet of very kind people that seem like, really normal and kind. The entire planet explodes. Like
Counter Earth.
Yeah. Oof. How about we hit these? We have a few feedbacks. Y'all ready for them?
I think
hit me.
So.
Okay.
I think I'm okay.
Spark Sam says, at Stranded Panda TV, you all hear that theaters would have different versions of the film with little changes. Think that's true? So there was a thing going around saying there were like 300 different versions of this movie, but from what I understand, it's just that I don't know. I didn't read the articles. From what I read like the first paragraph. And it was talking about aspect ratio differences for all the different kinds of formats. I don't know if there's changes in the actual movie. If there are, it's kind of neat.
It's filmed for IMAX, but I guess if you watch it in standard.
Like all the different theaters have different aspect ratios, different type of media, and different type of audio. So like there's a lot of different versions for that, and apparently he did like a different version for every one of those somehow. So I think that's what they're talking about. But I didn't read the articles deeply, so it's possible there's some changes in some of them. I don't know.
That sounds clickbaity.
Yeah, it is. It definitely was. But back in the day, Clue. You remember that movie Clue?
Tim Curry.
They did different versions of the ending
My boy TC.
with a different killer in each version. So like you could go to the movie 8 times at different theaters and see different versions of the movie.
Oh, that's when they were doing stuff in the 80s.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. So maybe there's some like different jokes and stuff they threw out there in like different versions. That'd be kind of neat. I don't know. It is the multiverse saga after all, so it works.
Hey, I get
anything.
I just spotted one in the chat. Said thoughts on Cosmo. I loved how much she was in this.
I love the Cosmo. The Russian. She sounds like Anna Kournikova or my favorite ice skater. She is good dog.
Mm-hmm.
Kraglin, take it back.
Kraglin, you take back your bad dog.
Oh, I loved how much she just would not let that go. Like, she brought up, and they sent me up in rocket, knowing full well I could not go back, but they never said I was bad dog.
It's not a bad dog.
Yeah. That was so funny.
And then I loved at the end how Mantis was able to use her power to go over and like encourage her to be a strong dog. She's
I loved
"You are
it.
So
Yeah.
strong and powerful. Somebody put in the thing, what's your cry count? My cry count started at the beginning and was the entire time.
So it's probably 1 was your cry count. It just never stopped.
Spark Sam also says the difference was that they were trying to harm them and they weren't stopping. High Evolutionary was defeated and they didn't want to kill him in cold blood. Yeah, but I disagree with that.
I would have slit his throat.
Yeah, I would have killed him. He just murdered a planet and it's not like they didn't even like take him into custody or like
he's dead though.
We hope. I could absolutely see him bringing him back in some other Marvel property because he's the High Evolutionary. He has all that technology. He uses his whatever to get out of there. That face wasn't even his face. That was just a mask. That's what his face has looked like for a long time. So I don't think he was dying.
He deserved it.
Yeah.
He looked like Red Skull.
I wish that Rocket would have popped an eye out.
Yeah.
He did. You saw like his right eye was
eyelid.
like bulging out, didn't have an eyelid.
Watching that, I was like, get him, Rocket, rip his goddamn face off.
It would have been fitting for him. They should have thrown him in that little chamber and set his thing to just like keep making him go through that painful process of evolution until the ship blew up.
When he became a Ninja Turtle?
Oh, when he put the turtle in, I go, if this thing becomes a Ninja Turtle full of baby turtles, I was I'm down.
He started getting real mad, and I was like, is he gonna... Are they going for Ninja Turtle here? Is that what's happening?
And then when he doubled down and put like all those animals into the thing the next time, and it worked out, quote, unquote.
Oh yeah,
hard to watch.
92.
Yeah. It still looks incredibly painful.
Like, you thought you were going to come with us? Oh my God. It was...
And how, like...
This movie is very heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
The High Evolutionary seemed like he was drunk, screaming at him. How did you know?
He kept grabbing his little face.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, when he was...
Every time he grabbed Rocket's little face, I turned to Ken and I go, I can't fucking wait until he dies. And then I didn't get to really see it. Like I said it like 5 times. I was like, I can't wait until he dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be Rocket, but getting to see what Rocket did to his face, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Hannibal.
Yeah, it was just the putting your hands on someone like that when you're so much bigger in such a like not even a familiar way. Like it's like they're your property.
Ugh.
And like he legit thought that Rocket was his property. Like it was very unsettling and
I hated him.
Quite improper, sir.
Quite improper.
Yeah.
Quite improper.
He got what was coming to him.
Oh, but what about Dad Rocket with all the little bitty raccoons all over him?
That's so cute.
Well, I was like, is he only going to save the raccoons?
Yeah.
He has to get everybody out.
Yeah.
And he did.
He did.
When he turned and saw all of the other animals and that tear ran down his face, I was like,
God,
Rocket!
Jeff, stop bringing this stop.
Okay, so, one thing about High Evolutionary, you were talking about him seeming drunk. He did seem drunk, and he also seemed incredibly jealous of Rocket. It's like he didn't like that there was this thing that his creation could figure out that he couldn't. It was like somehow his creation had... honestly, like... And there's a big moment toward the end where he's throwing him around and like, you thought you could be something different than I wanted you to be. You thought, throw it up against the wall and stuff. I actually got like real like abusive parent vibes where like, parents think they can have the child be who they want them to be and they're real oppressive. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, this is the life I set out for you.
Yeah.
How dare you think you can do something else?
How dare you be something that I don't approve of? How dare you choose a career, choose a partner, choose a whatever that I don't approve of, and it's like, I definitely saw that parallel there. Dad948 in the chat says, to add to small complaints, 1, High Evolutionary was a very weak villain, and 2, Adam Warlock was pretty weak.
The Adam Warlock thing kind of resonates with me. I was a little annoyed by Adam Warlock. just kind of showing up to push the plot along. Like in the beginning, Rocket's walking around, like we get the establishing shot of like what Nowhere is now.
He hurt him pretty bad.
And then Adam Warlock shows up and is like, all right, here's how we kick off the plot. Adam Warlock does a bad thing.
He upset me more than anything. Like, I was in tears because of what Adam Warlock was doing in the beginning. I thought we were going to lose Rocket. I thought we were going to lose Drax.
Yeah.
He almost killed Nebula.
When Mantis'
arm
got shattered.
I was like, is this what we're doing? We're going to kill everybody within the first 5 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But then when I realized, oh no, he's a doofus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was totally fine with it.
Yeah.
And I knew that somehow he was going to bring him, like he was going to be a help.
Right. Oh yeah,
somewhere.
for sure. I feel like we knew that from before we even saw trailers for this. I did not think Adam Warlock seemed weak. I thought he seemed like a real threat. Now, I don't know him in comics, and I know he's supposed to be one of the more powerful beings in comics, right? Like, he's really, really up there in the power level rankings.
Yeah, well, that gem in his head is, in comics, is the Soul Stone.
Gotcha.
It's one of the Infinity Stones, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're doing here.
That's not what we're doing here. And even still, like, him using the powers at the beginning to fight the Guardians, he's definitely on a higher level of power than any of the Guardians.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Gamora was there, he might have had it like a bit of a fight, but all of them alone without her, it's nothing against him.
Well, like Drax and he were able to go toe to toe, like
it was
physically.
A good fight. It was a good fight
with punchiness. But then when he started using his blaster hands, and they had that almost like Man of Steel moment where like blasters are going, it's the laser eyes, and like. Oh, he's got to break his neck he's got to kill him to stop him from killing everybody around him. And then no, he just lasers everything. Like, oh, this guy's really strong and scary.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God he's an idiot. Hot dummy. I call them tropical fish. So pretty to look at, so goddamn dumb.
Yep.
I really wanted a little more from Adam Warlock for sure.
I did too.
I thought that there was a little moment of him when he's just doing what he's told. He's just been doing what he's told, and then he kills that guy, and then that little monster thing is sad, the little animal, and he's like, "This thing is sad about what I just did, and I don't like that feeling at all." Like it was that
how much care.
I love that moment.
Makes me
how
feel.
I feel about it.
Yeah.
And then when Gamora was gonna slit its throat, he's like, "Wait,
don't be rash.
Don't be rash.
Don't be rash.
Don't be rash."
She
Such
wasn't gonna
a funny
do it.
way to say that. Yeah, I love it. I don't know,
so
man.
great.
This is Ravager Gamora. I don't know what she'll do. She's a loose cannon.
I loved them smiling. Like when they were doing a thing, like she would smile at Quill and he would smile back. And at the end, she was like, "We had a lot of fun, didn't we?"
Yeah,
so good,
girl. You have no idea.
Yeah,
that scene though, Matt, where you said Adam Warlock was just doing what he was told. He didn't, though.
Right, yeah.
I just
feel like through the movie.
Show him we mean business, and he just disintegrates.
If the two of you came to me and said, "Tell that person that we mean business," I would burn their face off. And you guys would be like, "Ashley, that's not what we meant." I'm like, "Well, you told me to tell him we mean business. You need to be more specific."
Indeed.
Just know.
That reminds me of the movie. It reminds me of the movie The Losers, where the guy was like, "If anything, that was a break his fingers nod. That wasn't a throw him off the roof nod."
That's great. All right, let's run through a few of these last things before we get off of here. Spark Sam also says, so High Evolutionary was on Earth before. Do we think he did anything else on Earth, or did he just get animals?
I would assume just picked up some penguins.
I don't know. Yeah. I wonder if there's any evolution that was like caused by, maybe that's where the duck-billed platypus comes from or something.
Oh, that's 100% true.
Yeah. He screwed up. He screwed up and made the duck-billed platypus.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, he screwed up and made all of the animals that are in Australia.
Yeah.
And then was like, fuck, I gotta get out.
He was definitely, I mean, we saw kangaroos. He was definitely in Australia.
Mistake.
I made a huge mistake.
Oh my gosh, guys! I gotta tell you this, and I gotta say this kangaroo thing, and it's if you look it up, it's very weird. So kangaroo,
sad.
No, but it's weird. It's like alien. Kangaroos are born, out of the kangaroo parts, but they have to make it to the pouch. But they're like this big. They're like the size of a bean, and they still look like an embryo almost. They're hairless little like monsters, and they look like little worms, and they like worm their way up the stomach of their mother and then get into the pouch. It's really weird. You can find video of it online, and it is weird.
That makes me think of my favorite part of this from Mantis is when she walks into the room and there's that really ugly creation. She's like, ah! Oh! I'm not screaming at you. I was screaming at the really scary thing behind you. And it's like, ah! Oh, this is the way out? I fucking died.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
It's so good.
My language.
That's so good. I love that you love this so much, Ash. I love it.
I was screaming at the really scary thing behind you. You look really
It
cool.
was because you just got to feel bad for that thing because you know that thing has gone through so much terrible, horrible trauma.
Yeah.
There would have been a raccoon and a kangaroo and a penguin in a one mushy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing that like broke me about this movie is they gave all these like broken, like torn up creatures fairly like normal voices and normal personalities to where like, these are like basically monsters like created by a mad scientist, but they have like these like very sweet personalities, most of them. And it got me, man. It got me. Ugh. Like the fact that the friends, the four friends are in the cage and they're like being mistreated and being torn up, but they're still so hopeful. It got me, man. It got me.
Yeah, and they kept on like we're gonna join the perfect society soon. And then Rocket had to come back and be like, we're not. They're gonna kill us. They're gonna kill us. We're not gonna get to that society.
A walrus. Who does that to
Teefs.
Teefs.
I love how he was like, I've been thinking. They're like, about what? And he's nothing in particular. I just thought that, since you guys are my friends, you'd like to know.
But it's like the power of friendship, I guess.
Mm.
Can we talk about Kraglin?
When the High Evolutionary was getting onto Rocket and he had just killed Lila, you could hear Floor saying, like, Rocket, go run far now. Rocket, go far now. Like, trying to tell him to run away.
Mm.
Just trying to tell him to run.
Yeah.
It was heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
And then they all died.
All got killed.
Jeth and Jacob confirms that apparently it was only aspect ratio changes with the 300 different versions they did. It was like the most versions ever sent out, but it was all just aspect ratio stuff, apparently, according to Jeth and Jacob here.
Okay.
Waterfall Angel says, how does the understanding of Groot work? Since Gamora didn't understand him and then did by the end, did OG Gamora understand Groot right away? No.
Yeah.
No,
I feel like it wasn't until Guardians 2 where they started to show that she started to understand him a little bit.
To me, it's this is how I've always taken it. It's you get to know Groot, and as you get to know him, and I think this may have even been said in some production, or somebody said that like you get to where you can understand him sort of telepathically or something. So like when he says "We are Groot," you hear the words, but like. I've always taken when he says "We are Groot" in the first one, that was us getting a sense of what he was saying. Like that's like us as an audience getting a sense of what he was saying.
In this one.
Well, that's the thing.
I love you guys.
Did he? And I think that is
we understood.
We are part of the family now. Like someone understanding Groot shows they're part of the family, and him saying "I love you guys" and us hearing him is us becoming part of the family. Yeah. I loved it. Oh gosh, I loved it.
Kraglin seeing Yondu to teach, like at the last moment, to figure out how to use the whistle, to use the arrow. God, I loved it so much.
Yeah, I did too.
Gotta use your heart,
this
boy.
movie. I know I've said I loved a lot of movies, but I'm going to tell you something. Since Multiverse of Madness, I haven't loved a movie like I loved this one, and it's because it just was familiar. It was home. It was the last, and it felt like an ending, and it was really hard to this was harder almost like than Endgame because this is it.
Yeah.
Like, these are our people.
Speaking of other properties or whatever, other movies, when we know they've called for some sort of help, and then we saw this electricity shocking through the sky outside of the High Evolutionary's ship. I thought Thor was coming to help. I thought for a second like Thor was gonna like burst onto the scene and just do a couple things. Yeah,
but it's not his movie. I don't know.
I agree, but it would have been, they were friends there for a minute. It would have been nice if he showed up. But nowhere coming through that tiny hexagon was pretty great.
It was so cool. That was the fact that nowhere was moving. Oh my god, it was so cool.
Yeah, it's so good.
Well, the fact that it went through the jump and just like tore it open to fit the head through was so cool. And then like the like giant barrel, like the rocket eye. Oh, that was so cool.
It's beautiful. That was also the point of the movie where I was like, okay, the movie's over. Oh, wait, we have 35 more minutes to go.
Yep. Nope. Stretched on a little long there.
And then I was like, oh my god, more animals and cages. I can't do this. I thought he was going to leave everybody and just take the little raccoons. I was like, what are you doing? You got to free them all.
Yeah.
You can't do just the raccoons, Rocket.
Last feedback here. We have Oof, my dude says, great screen name. This whole trilogy is about broken people, and the last one is about literal broken animals and people.
Yeah. God, the
Found family.
Rocket with his shirt off throughout so much of it, where you see how his chest has been broken apart and like separated and filled in with the metal pieces, like, and just because like raccoons are, they don't really have a chest to speak of, so like in order for him to have that bipedal mode and be upright and have a chest, like they broke him physically and spread him apart and put metal in there to like fill in the gaps. It was
watching them watch it and hearing Nebula say, this is worse than anything that's been done to me.
Oh, this is worse than what Thanos did to me. Yeah. Oof.
He's just a little baby.
Yeah.
He's just a little baby raccoon. Like, it's the innocence in animals that gets me.
Yeah.
Like, we do such horrible things.
Yeah.
Not we, but we, as the people, just do such horrible things. And I know I'm not a vegetarian, and I'm so sorry that I'm not. But I can choose to not use cruelty, animal, makeup products or this and that. You make sure it's cruelty free. Like, it's hard. I would love to be a vegetarian. Just can't do it.
Just can't. I just glanced at the chat, and Dada948 said Vin Diesel only does franchises about family.
Oh, it's all about family.
Well,
it's all about family.
This is about found family for sure, but it's about finding family and broken people. And if you think about it, like, all of these people have been like terribly abused, basically.
So true.
At least have gone through terrible trauma. Drax went through the trauma of losing his family. Mantis, it was like abused by Ego all that time. Like, it's sort of enslaved, I guess, kept as a pet.
We don't really know Groot.
Yeah, we don't really know Groot. Groot, I feel like, was the only like.
Groot was raised by these people.
Well, this Groot. But the original Groot was kind of like the only one we don't know anything about his backstory. But yeah, they've all gone through this horrible stuff. Quill has his bad, sort of abusive childhood with Yondu. And it's just like it's all just going through that, not having a support system, not having a family that you can rely on, and then finding the family that is meaningful to you.
So that's like kind of my actual life.
Yeah.
Which is why Guardians has always been my favorite. Like, I know a lot of people didn't like Guardians 2, but I really did. And I just feel like their presence in every other property that they got to guest star in, like Infinity War and Endgame, whoever we got to see and whoever we get to see going forward, the Guardians was this like precious moment in time where we all got to see the weirdness and the space, and they really introduced us to a whole galactic or intergalactic like part of the MCU that people might not have accepted if it wasn't done this specific way with this specific characters by James Gunn. And I just feel like it was such a gift, and it will always be. And it's so sad that this is maybe, they said it's the last time. We'll see. People love money. That this is the last time we'll see all these people on screen together. And I think it really was a beautiful send off, an emotional one. They did good for the characters. I don't know. It's the end of an era.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's the end of the entity that we have known as Guardians of the Galaxy. Because like the Guardians of the Galaxy entity that is made up of Peter, Drax, Gamora, Nebula, Rocket, and Groot, like that's done, right? That's gone. Right. They've gone their separate ways. So, but now we've got the torch handed off to this new Guardians set that is whoever that little kid was, the Jub kid.
Eyeball.
And then and Rocket and Adam Warlock and and gigantic Groot. Like we get this the torch has been handed off.
Spark Sam in the comics says the new girl is Phyla.
Phyla. Okay. Phyla. Okay. It's almost like when Sam Wilson became Captain America, right? I mean, they even had one of them say Captain on your left.
Mm-hmm.
And Rocket was like, word. And then they go off. So like, it's like Rocket is the new Captain Cosmic or whatever. He's the new
leader. He's the new leader of the Guardians, and I dig it. I think he's a great
choice. With it.
When he walked into the High Evolutionary ship and he decided to go fight the High Evolutionary or whatever, like that was him choosing to lead, and they all fell in line because they trust him and they're gonna protect him, and I think at that moment that was really when he became the leader. It was everything else was just formalizing it,
Yeah.
Well,
and Quill told him, "You're a better leader than I ever could have been."
Man,
I think Quill was a good leader. I'm gonna miss them all so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do because they've been saying they're done with Guardians or whatever, but like,
Guardians aren't done with them.
Yeah, they're all still here. I really expected to lose some tonight. I thought we'd be like crying. I didn't get as emotional in this movie, partially from my own expectations. I was emotional, but like not in the same way because I was kind of waiting for the big moment where we were really going to lose somebody.
You were saving your emotions.
I was kind of like, okay, this is all tough. This is all tough, but it's all leading to something huge. And honestly, it didn't get there.
He broke
in the same way. I know. Yeah, he broke. Yeah, I get it.
I've never broken, but I get it. And I was like, man, it's going to be me crying this entire time. I'm still crying, and nobody else. But even like we've just had such time, like Gamora. It is hard to deal with this version of Gamora because when we did our females, like our favorite female cast, like Gamora has always been my favorite. She's so strong. She's so powerful. She's so great. And this is not that Gamora, but it kind of is. And you knew like, she's like, this isn't me, baby girl. You would choose to do all these things and be with that guy. And you just got to give it some time. And then we got to see it happen. But then she also created this own life for herself. I don't know. It's all so sad. I could just go on and on. We're going too long.
Oh yeah, it's all good. We'll keep talking about this movie over the next coming weeks as we get ready for Secret Invasion. It's just a few weeks away. Very exciting. I think June, right? June something. I don't know what date. But we'll be here for that soon.
Hopefully, there's no animal in it.
Right.
Let's leave the animals out of it, please.
Yeah.
This is enough.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We're going to be back soon. By the way, since it's going to be a big cast and it's our first time having big content come out since we started the new show, we've got a new show on Stranded Panda called Multiverse News, and I wanted to mention it here. So please check out Multiverse News. It's a weekly news show where we're just covering news from all around the multiverse of geeky and pop culture content. So Multiverse News, everywhere you get podcasts. Anybody else have anything they want to plug?
You can, if you like horror, you can find me at Bill and Ashley's Terror Theater, where we talk about all things horror. We break down movies from start to finish, how it's filmed, how it's done, how much blood was used. So if you're not into horror, but like how movies are made, you can come hear all about it over at Bill and Ashley's Terror Theater.
Yeah, it's a great show.
There were several points during this movie where I was like, is this a horror movie?
Felt like a horror movie.
Yeah,
did they make this into a horror movie for a second?
There were big moments like that.
James Gunn has done a couple horrors.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like he cut his teeth in horror, right? Like
Slither.
Slither was a big one.
Yeah, for sure.
Starring Rooker and Fillion.
Mm-hmm.
Always love him.
Also, please, patreon.com/MCUcast. We just did our commentary tracks for Guardians 1 and 2, so you can watch along Guardians 1 and 2
I felt like that lasted so long.
You
have to tap me for one of these. I would love to.
We'd love to do it. We just keep doing them late is the problem, and I know it's always hard to get on late. But we were going to do commentaries. We're trying to do commentaries on either episodes or movies that lead into the next thing. So we're doing those, but only for the patrons. So please go sign up on the Patreon. It really helps the show and keeps it moving. If you want to support the show, if you like the show and just want to show us some love, go to patreon.com/MCUcast.
If I show up, it's going to be like riff tracks.
I wish we were that good.
Oh, bring me home, baby. Throw me in, Coach. Let's do Captain Marvel next.
Get me in, Coach.
Yeah.
Actually, Captain Marvel is a good one
is the
with
next
Secret
one.
Invasion coming up.
I was thinking
Absolutely.
we might do that backstory episode of WandaVision where they get into Rambeau's backstory a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that's going to, like all the stuff they say about like her problems with Captain Marvel and stuff. I thought that'd be kind of fun to do a commentary about.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be back soon, guys. Peace.
Until next time, true believers.
What to do? Bye.
Oh, you could do the thing where that Gamora and Nebula do, where they're just like,
what the hell was that? What was that?
It was so good. I thought it was Gamora.
What was it?
Like Nebula has always done that to her, and that was Gamora mocking her. Is how I took that. I thought it was great. Nebula's like, and Gamora like, It was so good. It was so good.
All right, everybody. Matt, you start. Jeff, go next, and I'll do next. Do the grunts.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. Available everywhere you get podcasts, and now a video version streaming live on twitch.tv/strandedpandatv and available at youtube.com/strandedpanda. And if you'd like to learn more about all of our other podcasts, geeky projects, and ways to support the network, visit strandedpanda.com.